Hey everyone, welcome to this YouTube video. I am your host, Castellan, because I grew up building Lego castles. But I also grew up building Lego cities, which is what brings us here today. Lately I've been watching a lot of other YouTube videos of people giving Lego city tours, which is really neat for me because, as I just said, I grew up building Lego cities. Every couple months I would commandeer a table in my parents' basement, cover it with base plates, and just build to my heart's content. Unfortunately, nowadays, I no longer live in my parents' basement, so that... Oh, wait a minute, that sounded wrong. Give me a moment to rephrase that. Okay, let's try this. However, I have since moved out of my parents' basement and have landed a place all my own. Unfortunately, that place isn't a place with a very high cost of living, which means I do not have the room that I had when I lived in my parents' basements. I don't have any extra tables for Lego sets or for Lego cities. I barely have any extra space at all. The best I can do nowadays is to build some modulars and store them on the shelf. Every now and then I get to take them off the shelf and arrange them into a little Lego streetscape, like what you see here, which is what this video is going to be about. So, without any further ado, let's start this Lego street corner tour. And we're off the Steadicam, so please forgive any shakiness, but we're going to do a quick overview of this street corner, which features my own personal MOC, the Green Room. I'm sure you can figure out which building it is. It is flanked on one side. Just for context, it is flanked on one side by the detective's office. There is our Green Room. And on the other side, it is flanked by the pet shop. However, I'm sure you're all well aware of both of those sets, so we won't be focusing on them. Okay, before we jump into the building proper, let me take a moment to discuss the design parameters that went into this building. Design parameters is just a fancy way of saying what was I hoping to accomplish and how did I intend to accomplish those. Okay, so the first parameter was I wanted a bulky building with lots of interior room. That's just something I enjoy. Second parameter was, as you see here, to use up some of these green base plates that I had lying around. Thanks to some creator sets, I had a lot of these lying around, and I felt this was a good way to put some of them to good use. Also, as you can sort of see from this, I can, with a little bit of design on the inside, I can have design a floor that has no supports on the underside of the plates, which is just kind of convenient. And the last design parameter is that I wanted to design a building such that you wouldn't actually see these base plates. Because these are grass green base plates, which are horribly, horribly ugly when they're placed next to the regular green, and the dark green, and several other colors. It just looks really ugly on the building, so I tried to hide them. To see how I did that, you can either jump back to the beginning of this video or jump ahead. And with that out of the way, let's go back to the street corner. And we are back off the Steadicam for an overview of the building, starting from the ground floor and then working our way up. First thing to notice is from this view, you can see why this building is called the Green Room, because inside is a little bar and a stage. And if you know much about performing, you know that the green room is the term used to describe a room where performers get ready before they go on stage. And this building is built in green bricks, so green room, green building, it's a pun. Alright, next thing that's worth showing off about this building is what I ended up doing for the windows. I'm sure many of you noticed this too, but that little 4x arch piece, no, that 4x bow piece fits very nicely under the 6x arch piece. So I set the windows back a half brick using a technique I'm sure everyone's familiar with who's ever built a modular. Stuck the bow on top of the window, stuck the arch on top of that, and we have a really neat setback window. Unfortunately, if you, well, I can't really show you it too well, but if you just build it like that, the window is not very stable, which is why I had to do a lot of extra stuff to stabilize it. However, that was kind of okay because I also had to build this outside ledge to cover up my plates. So it all worked out in the end. And on the inside, we have the bar with some very tastefully attired bartenders. You might recognize them from other Lego sets. And then on stage, we have a pianist and a lounge singer, which might make you think that this is a really classy joint. Except for behind the lounge singer, there is Left Shark doing his left shark thing. Yeah, it's not really appropriate, but what do you expect from a guy wearing a shark suit? And now a reverse shot showing the assorted minifigures in the audience. Notably, we've got a cowgirl, a 70s guru, and a guy that you might think would be a pirate, but is probably a biker, given the circumstance, and also a werewolf. You may have seen this werewolf drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's, but Trader Vic's is under construction, so here he is at the green room. And we're going to continue on our tour on the second floor. But before I get into the building itself, I wanted to show the wall a little bit with some goofy, modern, Art Deco-ish, but mostly modern window decorations. I did this just like the base plates, simply because I had the pieces and wanted to do something useful with them. And moving on to the front of the building, something I may not have shown earlier was the stairs up to the upper level, which I essentially stole from the Pet Shop Modular. But that goes up into the upper level, which, like the Pet Shop Modular, is a residence. Which brings us to why I wanted to build this so big, to have a lot of open space. So, let's take a look at what exactly we have. Alright, starting with the kitchen, we've got a kitchenette right next to the entrance and a table for several. As we can see here, there's quite the party going on with delivered pizza, a waffle, and lots of drinks out and about. And taking a reverse shot from there, we have a couch where we find the Galaxy Girl and some random pilot just hanging around. I actually had to rebuild this couch when I decided to put the Galaxy Girl there because the couch needed to be deeper to accommodate any of the large hairpieces that you find on the girls. So that was just an interesting note. And of course, what good is a couch if you don't have a nice TV to point it at? So here's the house's TV on a coffee table where everyone seems to have dumped their bags as they came in for this party, which seems to be dismaying to this businesswoman who we can assume owns this place, since for a Lego apartment, this place is huge, so you'd have to be a pretty well-connected person to own it. And continuing our tour, one story up, you can see a couple things from here. The first is that my building ended up being much shorter per story than some of the official sets. I don't feel too bad about that, though, because my building has more stories than some of those. You can also see from this view how I ended up hiding that horrible colored grass green base plates by basically putting in a ledge at each story. And focusing more closely in on our building, we see some corner stairs here, which come up from below and head up to above. We have a kid's room with a bunk bed and a kid in it. On the bunk bed, you can see a panda doll, and under the bunk bed, you can see a spider. Let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt and assume that that's a pet tarantula. Also in the upper floor, we have the master bedroom and the bathroom. Now, in the real world, you would not want people to have to go through the master bedroom to get to the bathroom, but this is the Lego world, and space is at a premium, and yeah. Privacy is also sort of overrated, judging from the fact that there are no doors between rooms up here. We'll just have to go with it. And now we move on to the fourth floor, which is the roof for the surrounding buildings, but is only the roof deck on my building and also the greenhouse, Who would have guessed that a building called the Green Room would have a greenhouse? And focusing in on that greenhouse, we can see the stairs coming up from below. We've got a cactus on the wall and a couple of flowers behind the windows. And we also have a scientist lady who is mixing fertilizer for the flowers. However, something appears to have gone wrong. You will have also noticed by now that the building that I call the Green Room has a green roof, which is a fancy way of saying it's a roof that has plants growing on it. And if you have plants growing on it, you can graze livestock on it. Maybe. I think Grandpa here is taking the whole urban farming thing a bit too seriously. And then there's this guy who is obviously not taking anything seriously. And there is the top roof piece, which also has a little air conditioning unit. Not a whole lot to see there. And there you have it, a tour of my own modular MOC, the Green Room, sitting on the crossroads of my non-existent Lego city. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, hit the like button and do all the other YouTube stuff, and I will see you next time.